piece of her. Oh.
Yeah. So I've been already asking me what we do with zero. Like just a tiny. Perfect.
Good.
Yes. Awesome.
So you're not a child of that?
No.
12 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. We are here. Don't you worry, don't you worry. I know many persons love to hear the music, so sometimes they do not mind if the music plays for just a little few minutes extra. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. Good evening, one and all. Always a pleasure to be here to share with you whatever it is that we're sharing. Some persons say to me, you know, I never even like to know in advance what you're coming with. I like to just tune in and just listen and enjoy. I don't mind that too. I can work with that. So tonight initially we were supposed to have Michael Lees. That is the gentleman that probably some think might be a bit insane. I think he's brave. He actually fared out Hurricane Maria in the forests of Dominica. Being told it was a Category 3 hurricane, and figure, you know, he could maneuver and make his way through Hurricane Maria. Well, his story is quite a story, and his film Uncivilized, documenting the experience before, during, and after Hurricane Maria. So it's on now at Emerald Movies in Dominica. So those of you who are able to go see it should try to catch it during the course of this week. So he was supposed to be on tonight, but he had some urgent matters come up that he had to deal with, and so he had to travel and couldn't be here tonight. But I have three beautiful ladies here who were supposed to be on next week, and they were so accommodating, and I'm so thankful to them. I called up Trudy and I said, okay, Trudy, this is the situation, you know, do you think that you can make it happen for us to do what we call a switcheroo? So they switched to this Monday, and Michael, God willing, should be back for next Monday, and it worked out beautifully, and I want to thank them so much for agreeing and making the effort to accommodate us this Monday night. They are here to talk about a topic that I commend you ladies, first of all, for coming here tonight, because I know it's a lot of personal stuff that are going to come up on this topic that we're going to deal with tonight. I may share as well, because I experienced the very same thing with these ladies who are here in studios. And we are here to deal with PCOS. We're here to discuss it. It is the PCOS Awareness Month, and so we have these beautiful ladies here with us tonight, and quite a few persons are already tuned in to the program. So ladies, let me say good evening to all of you. Trudy, let me start off with you.
Hi, Ferdina. Hi, listeners. Pleasure to be here to talk about Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, PCOS. So we're going to be...
Take your time to say Trudy.
Polycystic Ovarian
Ovarian
Syndrome. And actually some literature calls it Polycystic Ovary Syndrome. So the two forms are interchangeable.
Polycystic ovary
or Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome.
Same difference.
Same difference, and we like to simplify it by just saying PCOS.
All right. I suspect we'll be saying that a lot.
Exactly.
Instead of the word polycystic, etc., etc., etc.
Right.
Yes. And who is the other lady that you brought with you here tonight?
We have two other members of our group, so they'll introduce themselves.
Good evening, listeners. My name is Dejean, and I'm a member of the Nature Eye Ladies PCOS support group.
Okay. And
Hi, good night, everyone. Sorry. I'm Allison Fevrier. I also am a member of the support group and suffer with the symptoms of PCOS, and We'll just be sharing our personal stories, our experiences, and whatever knowledge that we have about PCOS, and letting people become aware of it.
Okay, I'm going to have to, of course, start off by getting to know a bit about each lady. So you have to tell me a bit about yourself, what you do, what you're into, you know, and so on and so forth before we get into the meat of the matter. Back to you, Trudy.
Okay, so Trudy Christian, as I said, I am a lecturer slash public health person. I work at the Dominica State College, and I have a lot of interest in, you know, involvement with youth, and so I orchestrate the student activities at the Dominica State College. So that's my daytime job. But other than that, I am very interested and passionate about public health. I pursued a master's degree in public health, and so yeah, so that's why Ferdina, I told you I'll be the loud mouth about this health issue, because for me, talking about health issues is something that I love to do. And what else? What am I involved in? Social media enthusiast. I think my social media followers know I like blogging and, you know, being that personality on social media. And apart from that, that's basically it. So as the night progresses, you'll learn a bit more.
Well, something I know for sure, Trudy, is that you're very confident young woman. Very confident in you and in your being.
Yes, that's a process though, Ferdina. I don't want people to think, you know, that's just an automatic, you wake up that way. No, it's a definite process. And with some of the things we'll be talking about, you can see, the listening public will see how it was, or it can be a difficult process to get to that level. Definitely.
But it took you some time.
Yes.
But you're there.
But I think I'm there, yes.
I mean, the Trudy I see on social media, I think is a very confident woman.
Yes, I think I'm
so,
there.
yes, maybe some persons can probably get a hint on how to get there. Maybe we'll talk about that throughout the course of the program as well. Amanda, I know you're a teacher.
Yes.
All right.
I have been an educator for the past 19 years.
Yeah.
Right now I am a teacher at the Isaiah Thomas Secondary School. So as Trudy said, that's the day job. Dealing with the children, I love, you know, being able to impart some sort of wisdom every day with them. It's not necessarily just about the academics. We have to sometimes think about the students' holistic well-being, and I'm a big proponent of that, having, you know, children understand it's not, their teachers are not just there to teach them, but to actually show them love and care. In my spare time, I love to do creative things. I love designing carnival bands. I'm always involved with carnival. I have designed probably about 7 winning bands so far.
Really?
For my former school, the Convent Prep. And some people have seen me on television as part of Calypso. At one point I was nicknamed the Speaker because everybody had me.
Madam Speaker.
Oh, you mean you were part
I
of the...
was part of the actors, some of the Calypsonians,
I've seen you.
whenever they want Miss Alex Boyd Knight on stage. I can't get that. And I love doing anything that's creative and shows an expression of artistic movements. I just, you know, feel that vibe, and that's just my area.
Oh.
Yes.
So you love that.
Yes, I
do. You know how you got that interest in?
As a young girl, television really wasn't my thing. A lot of people think television was, you know, the thing. But I used to sit and draw and write stories about my drawings and write poems, and I just feel that I can express myself through my poems and my stories, and from there it just took a world of its own. So I love getting youth involved in those things so that they can take over, because, you know, eventually the white hair is going to start to grow and I'm going to have to take a back seat. So I'm hoping that some others out there get inspired when they hear what we've been through, all of us.
Yes, absolutely.
And, you know, step up and not be afraid of being themselves and being true to themselves.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Miss Fevrier, I find I'm a little off mic tonight. I don't know, maybe I need to fix something a bit. Miss Fevrier, you were here some time ago.
I was.
Your mommy was in the spotlight, and she was quite a guest as well. And here you are tonight. Tell us more about you. You sat in the corner right there, and you let her do her talking. But tonight it's your turn.
It is my turn. I am Allison Fevrier. I am from Roseau. My day job is managing and working with my parents at Animal Feed Store on the corner of River Street and Independence Street. Fevrier is animal feed shop and the store upstairs. And that takes up 99% of my time. I often feel like I'm tethered to the place, so my little string buried under there, because we're there all the time. And so my only day off is a Sunday.
Wow.
So I tend to go to church, go home.
That's a life.
That is, but I get to do a lot of things through church. I get to do stuff with my niece and my nephew. And being at the shop and at the store, I get to interact with a lot of people. So I actually like it. I like my customers, I like the farmers, I like explaining things about chickens and so on. I actually really like it. I like interacting with people. I like working at the store and helping people find nice things, especially we're trying to tailor towards more plus size in lingerie and bras and underwear and clothing and the fashionable stuff, but 2X, 3X, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So that people, our size. You can say our size. Are comfortable in getting into their bikinis or, certain things that they normally won't be able to find in regular sizes in town, especially. So I try very hard. I shop really specifically for bigger size people.
The plus size woman.
Yes, for
Yes.
sure. Nice underwear and lacy things and nice upper bras and cute shoes that you probably wouldn't get. You would not be comfortable wearing as a bigger, heavier person. Something with a more comfortable heel, but still the same style. So I'm
still fashionable.
Still fashionable.
Yes.
So I try to accommodate. I try to help people feel comfortable when they come to the store. Help them try on things and see themselves looking. Because all the time you watch yourself in the mirror and you think, oh, I can't wear this or I can't wear that. And sometimes you go to certain stores and they don't allow you to even try on the thing. We've all experienced that kind of discrimination as plus size ladies.
Or they want to suggest
something to you, like, oh, we don't have that in your size. That kind of thing. And so I've experienced it, so I make it my point of duty to make people very comfortable when they come and to be able to try on what they want and sit down, just a good experience.
Well, we can't all be the same size.
No.
We all can be a one size fits all, so there will be some like us, right? And I have to warn you, stop posting the pictures of the coconuts jelly in the van on social media.
I will not.
But you were very kind. You brought us a drink tonight, coconut water. So if the summer feeling Dejean, where's But thank you so much for that. I really do appreciate it. And ladies, thank you for being here tonight to talk about this very personal and even sensitive to some extent topic. You have to be brave to be able to come here and to talk about things like that, because you're going to be talking about yourselves, and me too. You're going to be talking about your bodies and all of that. And when I spoke to, I sent Trudy a voice note this evening because it really hit me only this evening that, that's a lot of personal stuff that's gonna go on here tonight. And she says to me, that's all right. I don't mind. I'm good. So thank you again for doing that. And I'm sure I'm saying that on behalf of all the ladies who experience this PCOS. I remember first being told about it when I went to the doctor and being told that I had some small cysts on very small, he said, nothing really to worry about at the time, per se, because I was having missed periods, and you know, this was just not working out for me at all. And then I found out about this, but to be honest with you, I never really paid it any mind. In fact, I just said to myself, okay, when this thing doesn't come, it's all right, I don't mind, you know, I'm free from it and so on. Until Trudy, I saw something on Facebook, and I'm like, what? So the doctor gave me the paper to read about, and then I made contact with Trudy about it. And so here we are tonight. Trudy, how did all of this come about?
Okay, so very interesting story. Well, as I think everybody knows by now, I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, and I was maybe diagnosed about 10 years ago, I would say. And I dealt with it on an individual basis. But in my profession as a lecturer, I lecture as well at the State College, and I teach human anatomy and physiology, that's biology, specifically about the human being, the human body, and you know, reproduction comes up as a topic, of course. And every semester I would handle reproduction. In the classroom setting, we would mention reproductive disorders, which PCOS is, right? And every semester, and I kid you not, a student would tell me, Miss, you know, I have that, or the doctor said to me, just like you mentioned, Ferdina, the doctor said to me that I never really understood what it was, and then I would get into a conversation with the student that, you know, I also have PCOS, and the student would feel so, I guess you'd say, so comfortable and so relieved that somebody else, you know, could share their story or could explain to them what's going on. So then I started to think to myself, okay, well, maybe there are more people than just me out there with this thing, because I used to think, you know, and this is typical me, Ferdina, I would say, boy, I have a Malaya, you know, look at what I have, and you know, it's me, and everything is me that has that, and because I've had other health issues as well.
Yes.
And of course, PCOS, and we'll talk about the symptoms too, it contributes to so many other health issues. So I'm in my little world of, you know, Malay, and it's me dealing with my thing, and you know, none of my friends have anything like that, everybody's normal, and then I'm realizing, no, there are quite a few people who have, you know, what I was considering my personal Malay.
It's not yours
right, it's not mine alone. So then I said, you know what, I will start a support group, because I realized, you know, for other medical conditions, we have groups, and these groups have been very critical in raising awareness. You have the Lupus Foundation, you have Cancer Society, of course, Diabetic Association, Sickle Cell Anemia, so you have different associations, different groups. And PCOS, which I am now finding out is not so rare at all in our population, had nobody talking, you know, about it. So I started this Facebook group called the Nature Eye Ladies PCOS Support Group, and in no time the membership of the group just shot up. So people were asking to join the group, and then people right away started sharing some of their stories, and it became a safe haven really for people to talk about the syndrome, knowing that other people of course understand or maybe experience what they're talking about. And then right away people like Amanda designed the logo for our group. Yeah, and then other people, you know, came on board and said, you know, we need to have a public event and we need to do this. And so we started off with a panel discussion in May that we had at UE, and the turnout was tremendous. People were sitting on the floor. And so we really started to realize the scope of this thing. Yeah, the men came out as well. And then we started to realize this is a woman's disorder, but it affects the men too. So now we have the whole society really and truly affected. So it's not, as I was saying, my Malay, it's, you know, the society is affected by PCOS. So the men, that was the shocking thing about our first event, was right, the contribution of the men. All the
question and answer period.
The majority of the questions came from the men.
Interesting.
Yes. So the men were in, because the men have partners, of course, with PCOS. So that's why they turned out to the event to support them. And there was even one man who said his partner was not there, but he had heard her saying, she has PCOS, and he wanted to find out what that thing was about because he was skeptical that it was a real thing. So he came in to kind of do some spying, you know, to see whether this PCOS that she complains about is a real thing. But then the other men were, men had questions about, you know, fertility, and we'll talk about the symptoms of PCOS, of course, because the issues with the syndrome are not just on the women's, at the women's feet. They will, the situation the woman is in will affect her partner, right? Yes. And of course, maybe her family or her loved ones as well. So it's a whole picture. Everybody is involved.
Everybody is involved. Amanda, were you surprised at the turnout at the panel discussion?
I must say I was. At the time I was not on island, so I was one of those viewing from overseas. And when I saw the crowd and how diverse it was with both males and females, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, this is on the right track, because a lot of people do not know or have many misconceptions about PCOS, and this came at the right time. And I was so enthused by that we said September is coming, PCOS month is here, we need to get something going, we need to do something, keep the awareness going, because we didn't want that inspiration that started at that May event to just disappear. So I was pleasantly surprised, and I hope that at our next events that we have coming up at the end of September, we get an even bigger turnout, because we want people to come and get the information and be aware of what we go through. Because it's one thing to have it, and people are not aware of it because they just think at certain points when you have your little moods that you're just a moody person, but they don't even realize that sometimes you have absolutely no control of that sudden mood swing that you get. And I think that with the awareness group going forward, that more and more people will be realizing what PCOS actually does. That it's not just some made up
thing.
Yeah, we should say what it is too.
I'm coming to you, Allison, to find out how you got involved in this. But before I even get to you, I have to admit that I wouldn't say that I'm in denial, because I've not been very active in the group. I have joined, but I must admit I've not been very active. I mean, I do have quite a bit going on. But I think for me, and I'm going to learn a lot, I think, from you all this evening, because for me, I just agree, this is what is happening, carry on. You understand what I mean? At the end of the day, that is what it is for me. I go to the doctor, they give me the prescription to make the monthly come around when it's not, when it hasn't for a few months, and I carry on until the next time it does whatever, and I move on. But I do not think that I've been paying much attention to this whole thing. So again, this is a learning experience for me as well. So I look forward to learning from you ladies as well during the course of this process on PCOS tonight. Allison, how did you get involved?
Well, basically listening, Trudy's my friend on Facebook, and you know, she would blog about certain things. She had a blog going just after Maria, and sharing certain things. And you know, we'd respond and communicate back and forth, and then lo and behold, the group came along, and you know, people started piling in there. And I was one of the people who was diagnosed about 7 years ago. And I thought, oh my God.
I think we might be around the same. Maybe I'm up like 5 years ago or something like that.
And so, and the thing is, when I was diagnosed, the doctor was like, okay, so you have PCOS.
That's it. And I was given a paper. I didn't read about it.
Yes. I wasn't even given a paper. I was given a prescription and said, go and buy that. I am not going back to said doctor. But, you know, I had to take on my own and do the research. And when I began to see, when I saw, you know, I read up on some of the symptoms, and I started observing my body, observing the kind of things I was going through. I was all too happy to join the group, and we dialogue back and forth with Trudy, and she would post about it, and that's how we got into it. I am one of those who was really, really surprised when I walked into UE the night, thinking, okay, you know, there'll be a few people there. Oh my goodness, when I walked in, I was shocked I couldn't find a seat. I had to sneak my way through people to get to the back and find a seat, sit down somewhere. It really was a good panel discussion that night. It was really amazing to see the response to men. And one of the things that not amazed me, but what I was quite pleased with was with the response of the men. They wanted to know how to support their partners. They were
So
very
important.
interested in knowing, so what do I do and what do I buy and so when she does this, what do I, you know,
Right.
I remember one gentleman sitting just in the back of me, and he was like, okay, so you know, what do I do? Basically was his question, and I was very impressed with that.
Right,
me
too.
There was another gentleman there who was with his partner, and she allowed him to speak and share how supportive he was, going to every appointment and knowing exactly what she needs when she needs it, and that blew me away. I mean, apart from all the information that night, that is one of the things I took away from that night. Yes, the way the men showed the support, and you know, even with this awareness week, I started posting things on my status, on WhatsApp, and so on. And a lot of my male friends, are asking questions now and asking, you know, what is this thing, and how do I find out what, you know, they want. Also, that's why she's putting on weight. Also, that's this, you know, also those skin tags are because of, you know, so they're beginning to observe the symptoms in their partners, and being able to recognize them, well, okay, there's a reason behind this.
And I just have condition just going through my phone there a bit. I remember somebody posted a video of a gentleman in the group, and I happened to catch it, and I shared it on my page. And I don't know if you know what video I'm talking about. It was something else, you know, that
really
a gentleman. Yes, I'm trying to see if we can get a hold of it. But no. But I mean, to just hear him talk about it like that, you know, it really just even shook me up a bit, you know, to the point where I'm saying, am I paying enough attention to this as I should, you know? And unlike you all, I've done no research. I've never really done any research. Sometimes I see some things on the page and I read through it and so on. And I think Sabina had posted some stuff the other day that I found quite interesting. And I'm saying to myself, this is real serious business. Here he is, this gentleman. Let me see if it will play for us a little bit. Oh, we get...
All my men out there, have y'all ever heard of PCOS? Of course y'all ain't never heard of PCOS, because we don't deal with PCOS. You know who deal with PCOS? Our counterparts deal with PCOS. You want to know what PCOS is? PCOS is when the ladies have ovaries, right? Every woman is born with ovaries, so she got her ovaries, right? Then these cysts grow on the ovaries. And y'all probably looking at me like, Josh, why is this important? Why do we need to know? Because you need to know what your woman going through. You need to know what your woman been going through her whole life, probably. And you don't even know. So Josh, what can PCOS cause? So I did some research. Some people came to me. They say, Josh, maybe you can get this out there. Maybe you can make people understand what we deal with as women. Man, listen, I did this research and oh my God. Oh, I had to leave my house and come outside to bring out inside of what I just discovered. Do you understand that PCOS causes all kind of irregulars in a woman's body? Do you
All right. That was just this gentleman there being a bit dramatic.
Right.
Is it worthy of the drama that he's giving to
Yes,
us?
it is.
It is.
It is.
It is.
I think, yeah.
So Trudy, let's
say what it is.
Yes. Let's get into understanding
Right.
what PCOS is. Let us get our people to understand what PCOS is.
Right. So I mean, if we have to talk about it very simply, PCOS is a hormonal imbalance, a hormonal issue. And if I have to maybe simplify it a lot, I don't want to be too biological. The woman is producing a bit more male hormones than she should, so these are called androgens, and that has a lot of implications. The woman may also be producing way too much insulin, and then we'll talk about how that also has implications as well. So the hormones are a bit out of whack. basically. And a doctor can diagnose you with PCOS based on 3 things. They say you have to have 2 out of the 3. And the 3 things are, 1, that you don't ovulate and so you don't get a regular period. So they say you're anovulatory, so you're not ovulating. And once you're not ovulating, you'll know because you're not getting a period. A period is how, you know, the body basically says, you know what? That egg that you released didn't get fertilized, so let me shed, you know, the preparation I was making for that possible baby. So if that doesn't happen for you, it means essentially that egg was never, you know, that egg was never there and no preparation had been made. So no periods or right, absent, or we'd say irregular periods, that's 1. 2, you have, upon ultrasound, they see cysts on the ovaries. So all these little cysts, I like to tell people, it looks like the moon with the craters. So like this, the ovary looks, we have 2 ovaries. They look like, you know, little holes are in them. And that's because every time, well, with PCOS, a woman is supposed to be releasing an egg, that egg doesn't really pop out and it just creates a little scar almost, like a cyst.
I tell you, I'm going to learn from you.
Yes. And then the 3rd thing is if a blood test is done and you notice elevated male hormones, androgens is what we call them. So those are the 3 things: lack of a regular menstrual period, appearance of cysts on the ovaries, and high levels of androgen. So you can have 2 out of the 3, and the doctor qualifies that as having PCOS. So for instance, for me, I have had issues with my menstrual cycle for my entire life. I have never had a regular menstrual cycle. I maybe started off when I was 11 and it disappeared for months and months, and by the time I was 12 or 13, my mother had to take me to a gynecologist. So here I was, a little teenager already at a gynecologist's office, and the gynecologist said, you know, you can take these birth control pills to regulate your period. So I'm 13 years old and I'm on birth control. So you know, in a parent's mind now, that is a problem because you are a young teenage girl and the doctor has given you birth control. So it's almost like, look, the doctor just gave you leeway to misbehave. So I was not kept on that for long because I know my mother was not, he gave me a prescription for a couple of months. My mother maybe bought it for 2 months and then she said, you know, that's it. So 13 and I'm already having issues. So I proceed, I mean, going through my teenage life, as I'm sure the ladies will agree, your friends are getting periods and talking about cramps, and who is at school talking about, oh, they have the period, they cannot wear this, or their skirt, they cannot wear sports skirts. Remember before, like, I went to convent, white sports skirt. So like sometimes people would say, you know, I have my period, I cannot wear. Me, I wasn't getting period. I mean, that was not an issue. And I used to feel great about myself because I used to feel, well, they have all their struggles and I have, you know, a life of once in a while, maybe get a period, whatever. So I move on and I'm like 18, 19 and I'm teaching by that time at convent. And I have a period that lasts like 18 days long and it's not stopping. So real scary. And I go to a doctor, and the doctor, another gynecologist, and the gynecologist says, have you ever heard about, because he listened to my whole history, and he said, have you heard about PCOS? And I said no, and then he told me, like, I can look it up, and he said he can I can go get a scan, a transvaginal scan. I listened to the man, remember I'm 18, 19, transvaginal, wow, not doing it, not doing it. And then when he said PCOS and I went home and I Googled it, the first thing I saw what PCOS is, it results in male pattern hair growth, and I'm seeing pictures of women with beard and a whole set of, you know, mustache and beard, and I'm watching myself and I'm like, but that doctor is madman, that's not me, because at that time I had no, I had no hair growth on my face and anything like that, so I felt he was just totally mistaken. So I ignore him, I don't do any transvaginal, any ultrasound, nothing. I continue to live my life, as you said, take my medication when the period doesn't come, I get a prescription for it to come, and I'm progressing fine. And then when I'm about 24, 25, I go to another gynecologist. And this one is a bit more thorough and explains a bit more. And I'll call her out as Dr. Blah. And she said to me, you need to go, like everything you're telling me, it sounds like this thing. but I need you to do that scan. Remember, I never did the scan. So she actually convinced me, and I did the scan. And lo and behold, the ultrasound tech, right in doing the scan, he's asking me, do you get regular periods? So I can tell he's seen something. So, you know, when the results come through and the doctor explains to me, she said the scan shows I have all these cysts on the ovaries. And remember, I also don't get a regular period. So right away, I satisfy 2 of the criteria. And so that's enough for her to make the diagnosis of PCOS, right? So some people, as I said, might have, you know, done a blood test and maybe found out that the male hormonal level is a little high, and that's another thing they can use for diagnosis purposes.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you, Trudy, to talk some more. But I want to find out from the ladies how they discovered theirs. I think I have 2 of the symptoms. The
irregular period
and the cysts.
Right.
So I have
so like
those.
me.
I don't know for number 3 because
Right.
I've never done the test for number 3. So I know those. I just saw somebody post something in the chat there, and the person said, ladies with PCOS suffer from sleep disorders. Hallelujah. You're talking to me. Tell me about it. Amanda, tell me how you discovered that you actually suffered from or with PCOS.
Okay, well, unlike Trudy, who started very young, I started my menstrual cycle probably at 15.
But maybe Amanda started, that was very late.
Very late.
Yes.
But I figured, okay, because I was doing a lot of sports and, you know, my athletics, that maybe just decided to take a little bit of a vacation. But when I got to 17, they had not been regular from 15.
Right.
You know, I'd get them every 2-3 months, and you know, they'd stop. Then when I got to 17, it stopped completely. So my mom got scared.
Oh my goodness.
So she took me to the gynecologist and did the same thing as they usually do. They give you those birth control pills and tell you to take the Depo-Provera to start the cycle, and then as soon as
you
it
even
comes,
don't remember the name.
Yes.
Depo-Provera. All right.
And then you start on them as soon as the cycle starts. You start with the birth control pills and you get the cycle
keep it
going.
regulated.
And I was happy not getting the cycle. Ooh, wow. I can go anywhere. I can go to the beach at any time. No, I don't have to wait to go to the beach. And then I said, no, something has to be wrong, because I started
The hair.
oh yes. I have it right here and I have it across my, I'm saying something is wrong. So at that time I started working. So I said, Mom, I really think I need to go back to the gynecologist. So I went back to the same doctor Trudy went to, Dr. Blah, and she sent me for the test, the transvaginal scan, everything. When I went, the tech told me, the cycle, your ovaries look like you are 17.
Oh.
So I'm like, what? Like, because of my high levels of testosterone, the ovaries didn't develop fully. I still have the cysts on them, and basically the report said that my ovaries look like a woman who is in menopause.
Oh my.
So I have 3, all 3 of the symptoms. So I was like, oh my God. It's like you fall into this depression, like, oh my God, I may never have children, I may never be able to, and it was just weighing on my mind. So then I decided, you know what, I'm going to find out more about this so that I can empower myself, so that I don't feel like as if, because a lot of times you feel like, oh my God, what did I do? Did I do something wrong in this life for me to get this? And then compounded with the situation, which is something I think a lot of people out there need to know. The last question you should ask someone, especially if you don't know their situation, is 1, why are you not losing the weight?
Yeah.
And 2, so when are you going to have one so long? Because we are already in this phase of depression because we know that these things may never happen for us, and then people don't know the situation. That's why I'm so happy that we have the opportunity to share so they understand that it's not our choice not to lose the weight, because sometimes you get so excited, you go to the gym and the weight starts falling off, and then the hormones decide, you know what,
That's it.
you've lost enough, I'm going to pile everything back on.
Yes.
Double.
And 10 more.
And add some more.
And 10 more, Allison.
That's such an important symptom you mentioned in the
Yes.
weight gain.
Weight gain.
Rapid weight gain is a major symptom.
And it was so, and then I just decided, and it's like they say, it's always important for your partner to support you, because they are the ones with you, and they're going to go through a lot. As you go through your symptoms, they're going to face a lot of it, especially when you get in that mood. 1 minute you're laughing, you're smiling, you're all right, lying on the couch, relaxing, and the next minute you just snap. So, you know.
Swing.
So those of you who are listening right now, I've snapped at probably once or twice.
It's not your fault.
It's not my fault. I'm not looking for an excuse.
No, but Ferdina, we have a legitimate, I mean, people might just have mood swings all on their own, but we have a legitimate reason. The hormonal imbalance really does cause mood issues. Yes, also anxiety, like she's saying, and depression. Yes.
So it's been almost 20 years since I've been diagnosed, and it's been a while.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I got diagnosed probably at about 20. So yeah, it's about 20 years.
Allison, what about you? Speak more into the mic for me, Allison.
I was diagnosed around 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
But I did it. I'd always had issues with menstruation, but rather than not having them, I had very, very, very heavy ones that would last very long time. Very long time. I'd have periods for weeks and weeks and weeks. Periods would last months. I'd be exhausted. I'd be drained. So that was one of the things. But I always thought maybe, I've always been big. What we call big in America. So when I started having periods at 11, they were okay for a while, and I think maybe about 2 or 3 years later I started having problems, and my mother took me to the doctor, and I think I must have been about 14 or 13 at the time, and it was Dr. Sorrento, or Dr. Sorrento at the time, and he examined me and everything, but I was 13, and he, senior Dr. Sorrento, so he sent me out, and he said that he spoke to my mother, and I didn't really know what was wrong, but he really said in front of me that I was getting a lot of weight, and maybe that was what's causing the situation. But he sent me out, and
same doctor, same talk.
That was the same doctor.
That is the same first one I went to, and that is
back
the
then you get
same
your nice little dress and go to the doctor,
same talk.
And so he sent me to sit. I remember sitting outside, and my mother was inside, and he spoke to my mother. And the next thing I know, he gave her a prescription for me. But so it was a birth control pill, but I did not know it was a birth control pill. Stupid me now, because I think she bought it in a little pouch, a little clear Ziploc pouch, and she's like, okay, so you have to take it for so and so long. And I mean, I was 13, I must have been in like third form or so, and I really should have put 2 and 2 together. But I'm really not checking these birth control pills and put me on, right? Yep. So they gave me that, and I had to stop it for a couple of 7 days. And then started back again. But I only bought it once.
Our stories are so
but my mother only bought it once, and that was it. And from there, I never really. There was no talk about PCOS. My issue was always weight. I started being big from the time I maybe hit 10, 11, big girl. I remember being in grade 7, and they pulled 3 of us out of school, out of class, and took us to this Lambert. She was a dietitian. Yes, I remember that's a long time ago. And took the 3 of us to her, for her to counsel us. And I remember just being the 3 of us, the 3 big girls. I mean, the 3 of us moved into high school together, the same high school, we were in the same classes and everything. And because we were bigger, we literally clung to each other. I remember being in the first form, and the people maybe online watching my friends will know, like Sabina will know, the three of us that would always be together, three big girls in first form grammar school. But so that's when I really got into understanding that something was really wrong. When I started on the birth control pills, and the doctor told me, I'd be very moody and all that kind of stuff. But I was a moody teenager anyways. I was a sleepy, tired, grumpy, moody teenager, and happy most of the time, but grumpy. Most of my friends will tell you I could have been very miserable at that time. But it wasn't until in my 20s I started on birth control pills to regulate my periods, just to regulate my periods. I know I wasn't having them regularly, I was bleeding too much, and during that time I was away. I was in Canada for a long time, so I was on my birth control pills for years regularly until I decided to stop. And when I came down to Dominica, just about 7-8 years ago, I said, let me stop really, because I'm going to be taking different meds when I come down. And so but the period just went haywire. So I went with a friend of mine to Medicus. She was going to get something done, and she said, ask them whether they will allow you to go and do a scan. So I asked and I paid, and they allowed me to. And as soon as the technician was doing it, he says, well, I noticed, cysts. And he says, have you been on birth control pills? And I'm not sure what he saw that allowed him to ask me. And I said, yes, I've been using it to regulate my periods. And he said, yeah, you seem like you have polycystic ovarian syndrome while he was doing it. And so he gave me the report, and I went to the doctor with it, and she said, okay, so you have PCOS.
Take your pills?
Yeah. So, I recommend that you go back on birth control pills. And so now I'm sitting on her little bed there in shock, wondering what's PCOS and where do I start? And, she gave me the birth control pills. And I was like, okay, well, once I get the birth control pills, I'm going to be back on my little regimen and be fine. And I started taking it and nothing worked. No birth control pills worked. I tried, missed this one, I tried another one, tried a different one, tried several, and nothing worked. Until I started doing my own little research and seeing, all the different little symptoms, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have this, I have that, this period, painful periods, cramps in the legs, the hair thinning. That's why I had to stop putting in my hair for a while, just to see what would happen. I noticed my hair was thinning right in the middle and on the top. So all the little symptoms, I've just been ticking them off like one, and as time progressed, and more symptoms would add on. Skin tags, and right now I'm dealing with insomnia. All of a sudden, I was very good sleeper. I love to sleep.
I envy people who are very good sleepers.
I was up until a couple of months ago, I could sleep day in, and my mother would tell you when I was born, I was a good sleeper. I could sleep in the morning, I could sleep any other time. Right now, I just cannot sleep. It's my biggest complaint now, is that I cannot sleep. I'm up at 1, I'll take a little nap, 2, 3, 4.
I can't even go to bed before midnight now.
I can't.
And by the next day, I'm exhausted. Yeah, so sometimes I have to drink coffee in the morning because you want to be alert, and then you want to go at night. And I mean, it's not something I do often, but then you're so tired and exhausted, you need something to help you, to get some sleep. It is just, there's no middle ground with this thing.
I'm having a very, very hard struggle. Yesterday, I came from church. I shut all the windows, I closed the doors, I put on my little AC in my room, I have blackout curtains, tried everything. I'm like, I am going to take a good, long afternoon sleep. My belly full, I'm trying to be like sleep. not a wink.
Not a wink.
I was there up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and because I'm now diabetic, so every time I go to the washroom.
Yes.
So it's just by morning I'm miserable.
Yeah.
I'm very miserable, and by 11 o'clock I want to sleep.
It's tough. Trudy, I need to ask something before we get into into the actual symptoms and you know what are the things that you can see to recommend. Now, if we take a look in this room, all the ladies who are talking about this, me, you, Allison, Amanda, no to plus size. So let us talk about that. And is that something that is linked to bigger girls? Or tell me the connection, the link.
So the hormonal imbalance can cause weight gain, rapid weight gain. But interestingly though, this syndrome is managed by weight loss and lifestyle, diet management. So it's a double-edged sword because whilst the syndrome will kind of almost enable you, or it gives the correct environment for weight gain to be very easy. I will tell people people have to eat food to put on weight. I just have to smile in its direction and I put on weight. I mean, I tell people...
No, people may hear this and they might say, no, you're all just greedy and you're
right, just eating too much.
I'm not ashamed to say. I'm never ashamed to say that. I love food. I love good food. I'm never ashamed to say that. But... there's a but.
Right. Because I mean, like specifically, I can talk for myself. Sometimes your effort at managing the weight is not, it's not effort that other people even have ever put in. And yet still you have the short end of the stick still holding where you're still dealing with the weight issues. So I mean, even at my age, I'm 34 and I go to the gym and I'm in step aerobics class, and then I see people so much older than me, twice my age, whatever, trying a step aerobics class or trying the gym for the first time. And I'm saying to myself, oh, Jay, since I'm a little girl, my mother have me in exercise class and on this diet and, trying this and doing this and not eating white bread and eating only whole wheat bread and trying certain things for weight management, and it all seems to sometimes be for nothing. And of course that can be depressing too. So people have to understand it's one thing when you see somebody and you say, okay, they're big and they may be just not trying. The person might have been trying, but at that particular stage they have given up somewhat, and they might say, it's bigger already, and nothing I do is changing the fact. And that is a true thing for people who are overweight on a whole, but with PCOS even more so, because you have that hormonal imbalance dealing with, where the weight comes on so quickly. I can tell you from personal experience, the rapid way in which I am able to gain weight, it alarms people all the time. So people will see me following my normal routine and just maybe not being very focused on my weight for 1 month. When I say very focused, I mean doing like some making sure I don't eat any sugar, any carbohydrate, whatever, or making sure I go to the gym at least 3 or 4 times a week. If I stop doing those things for 1 month, for 2 months, I can easily gain 20 to 30 pounds. Wow. Easily. And I saw it with me after the hurricane, where everything changed for me. I lost my home and everything. So obviously I am not in the mindset to be exercising and of course I'm eating what I get, because it's post-hurricane where everybody's depending on, ration, right? And I was no different. And just in those months after the hurricane, like just from not being on my normal gym and whatever, I saw myself balloon up 50-something pounds. Easy. And people will be like, you get bigger, and I'm like, yes, I know.
And Trudy,
I know.
we share a similar story right there, because I think people, I have some very nice friends who probably wouldn't say it to me directly, but I know that since the hurricane that I've easily put on at least over 30 pounds. I know that for a fact, and I know it's very difficult to get rid of it, That is where the challenge comes.
That's a different story. After Maria, I lost weight.
No, but in the initial days. But après ça, moi aller New York, moi aller l'Amérique.
For a couple of months, I was okay. I had lost my medication.
I put it over there.
But as soon as the food came back, and like Trudy said, it's rice and the pasta, and it's not what you used to.
Yeah.
You just
And no
put it
vegetables
on,
as
and put
such
it on,
and
and
fruit.
put it on. And you're not even eating as much as you normally would. But because of your hormonal imbalance, it just balloons you up.
And I mean, not everybody with PCOS
Is
plus size. It's one of those things. And PCOS is a syndrome. I think I should say that.
Okay.
Where what it means, instead of calling it a disease, it's called a syndrome because the direct cause is not precisely understood, and secondly, the symptoms that are associated with it, not everybody has all the same symptoms. Okay. So you will find that there are some people that rapid weight gain, that particular symptom, they may not necessarily experience it, or they may not experience it yet.
Yeah.
Because some people start to experience it as they age, and the hormonal balance gets even more off.
But Trudy, I swear, it just shows up. Because I know I was one size, and before I know it, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't wear that dress to work anymore. It's not fitting me, and it's like I didn't even quite understand, when that happened. So it's frightening stuff.
I don't know if you're familiar with the show Mystery Diagnosis. It used to be a medical show on TLC, where some patient is going to the doctor after doctor and cannot be diagnosed because the doctor cannot figure out. And there is an episode that I actually save and I play for my students when I try to explain PCOS, where this young girl, teenager, was just rapidly putting on weight. Her parents sent her to a weight loss camp, and she started with the hair growth and whatever, and the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with the girl. And it turns out it was PCOS. In the end of the show, it was PCOS. So it's like that particular show, that Mystery Diagnosis show, really kind of solidified in my mind how that rapid weight gain thing is a real sign. It mightn't happen for everybody, but for in people who are going through puberty and adolescence, when you see that rapid weight gain and it's not due to any drastic change in the person's eating and exercise habits, then that is an indicator to you that it's not all their fault. Like something is affecting how they put on that weight. So,
all right, ladies, we're just gonna take a quick break. Remember, you're still on this right here. We're going to take a quick break. Let me just say good evening again to our radio listeners. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on the program. And those of you who are viewing via Facebook Live on my page, always remember, I think I'm at my maximum for friends. If you want to see what's going on my page, just follow me and you should be good to go to be able to see the live in studios and to see our beautiful faces. Yes, as beautiful as we are. So we're gonna come back in just a while and we will talk. We've spoken a bit about the weight loss, the weight gain element of PCOS. We're going to talk about some of the other symptoms that are prevalent with this syndrome. Keep it locked. We're coming right back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show right here on Q95 FM.
I remember reading an article somewhere where they were saying that you can observe in your children and preteens the different things.
They say there may be a predisposition
So
if one of your relatives has it.
the genetic thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes. Let's talk about causes, family.
Because they feel like that can be. I mean, it can, but
they never did because we were always very, no families but as active as I was during high school, it just not going away.
Business, music, culture.
I took a picture of myself, like a memory yesterday, of myself in a dress. I don't know if you saw it. I was 10 years old.
Listen to this.
Not difference since I've been back to 10 years
No
old.
restrictions.
I don't know.
In this spotlight with also spotlights.
It's really weird. I'm tired of that. I'm in pain.
Went on before.
it just have to do with it because it is what it is. You can't
Like me, like a lot of everybody's doing their own research and you know what it is. And you can observe and the group also started. Sciatic nerve pain.
Did somebody offer in a complimentary
consultation.
Well, tell the person, It's 4 ladies. That's
Is that
the
a
top
doctor?
3. Let's get that right.
Is that a doctor?
I don't know.
Is that a doctor?
I don't know the person's name.
So free. It might be that solution. So.
Yeah.
Remember the ones that were
Yes,
there
yes, yes.
recently?
There's somebody who's messaging me and trying to offer me some stuff as well. I was,
That's for me. Yeah. Yes, but I said definitely the symptom, the diabetes thing. Yes. When she mentioned
I have
diabetes,
no diabetes.
I wanted to talk
I
about the
don't have
diabetes.
hypertension, but I was diagnosed like a month before Maria.
Mhm.
And when Maria hit, I lost my tester, I lost my meds, and so I was off my meds for a couple of months after Maria because I didn't have, I couldn't get to the health center.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of stuff to get, Jenny.
Okay, we're coming back, ladies. Are you begging?
Very spoiled, Jenny.
It is 11 minutes moving down past the 9 o'clock hour. This is the In the Spotlight radio show on Q95 FM radio. And on tonight's program, we're looking at PCOS, Poly-cystic Ovarian Syndrome. And all 4 ladies, my guest, myself, we all suffer from the syndrome. And I really want to thank those who are tuned in via Facebook Live, who are being quite interactive. Thank you for your comments and your contributions. It's just a pity that I can't read them as we're going through, to share as we're on. But those of you who actually have my personal mobile number, you can message me through there if you wish. It's right here with me, so you can message through here if you wish. You can also share with us in any other way. Leave a comment, send us an email. Oh, by the way, the email is inthespotlight.da@gmail.com. We have a fans page, In the Spotlight Radio Show fans page, that you can join as well. And as I said, if you wish to view and you're not my friend on Facebook, maybe you sent me a friend request and I've not responded, it's because I really can't. I have another page, Ferdina Frampton. You can also follow this one as well. All right, we're back and we're talking about those miserable symptoms. How do you know, or how can you suspect that you have PCOS?
Okay, so I think in what we've been saying so far, we've kind of revealed some of the more obvious symptoms. So we spoke about the male pattern hair growth, which is the beard, or maybe hair on the chest, coarse hair on the chest that you're not expecting a female.
Okay, I don't
So, so that's one of the more obvious physical symptoms. The weight gain, we spoke about rapid weight gain. We also see people with skin tags, as somebody also mentioned.
What is
Skin tags? Like I call it a mole. It's like a little black group. Yeah.
Oh, I got one of those there.
On your arm, your armpit, or the crease of your neck.
It's supposed to be anywhere, the abdomen going up.
Yes.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
A patch of them that came
And
up on my bra last week.
They're under my neck.
And
I got a little disturbed by it and I started twisting it a little to try to see how I could.
I've tried to take out mine with stuff I got at Jolly's.
It came out.
And it didn't come out.
Mine
for
just,
me.
I
Yours came
rolled
out.
it and twisted
Yeah.
it because it was bothering me.
it's a type of string. It's a little
it's
like a wart.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think my deodorant must have helped in the process to dry it up a bit.
But just some of them, but other than that, you have to go in to have them cut and remove. A couple of them, my niece calls them.
So what are they called?
They call skin tags. Skin tags. I call them moles, but anyway, I guess the moles are supposed to be the flat things. But yeah, those are the little growths, little black growths.
Little flaps.
Yeah.
Some of them are really, really small that you can actually pinch them off. Some of them, if you don't observe them, they'll grow and they'll make it bigger.
So those tend to be prevalent. Also, there's the darkened skin patches. We call that acanthosis nigrans. Some people get it like on the neck,
Trudy,
like the
don't
creases.
what you call it?
name,
Uh-huh.
the scientific name, Acanthosis nigricans. So it's this blackened skin. So some people, like, I don't know if you've seen posts where people talk about, okay, if you see people with this black, neck, and you might think, oh, it's dirty and they're not cleaning their neck, but really and truly they may have this hormonal issue,
And so
right?
also be observed in children.
Yes.
Preteens.
Preteen.
When you see preteen young ladies, young girls, and you tell them, go and babe and
scrub your neck.
Alkali and all kinds of other things we're trying to do to children. Those are the things I think it's because of the insulin.
Insulin, right. So that's the
So from early you can observe that in children and know that they may be,
right, lean into that. And not just on the neck, you could also have that darkened skin area on the genitalia area, on the face. I for one feel like I have my two cheeks. I have two dark patches right here. So so you can see that. So those are some of the outward visible symptoms. But of course there are symptoms or there are things that go on in the body that you don't see outwardly, but they're very important, and that's why the awareness is important too. So when we started, we said PCOS is a hormonal disorder, and one of the hormones that's messed up really is insulin. So women with PCOS tend to be over-secreting insulin. Their cells become resistant to the insulin. It's almost like the cells fed up with seeing insulin. Insulin is so much, that the cells become resistant. So insulin resistance is a thing, and then diabetes is the eventual outcome. So there's a statistic, an alarming statistic that I read that says that over 50% of women with PCOS will become diabetic by the age of 40, which is a pretty, young, type 2 diabetes. So that is another reason why the awareness thing is so critical, I believe, because it may cause certain people who are maybe newly diagnosed to be more aware of that risk, and so to try to take some action to mediate the impact of PCOS. So the insulin resistance is key. Even for me, I monitor my HbA1c. So I already do those tests to see, how that gives you an average of your blood glucose over a period of time to see how the blood glucose is moving, so that I know, how am I doing in terms of blood glucose management, because I know it's one of the things I have to look at with PCOS. And of course in the Caribbean and in Dominica, we have diabetes has a genetic risk factor as well. Like if diabetes type 2 runs in the family, you are predisposed to it as well. There's a genetic thing. So PCOS plus because I know I have diabetes in my family. So then with the genetic risk plus the effect of that PCOS and those high insulin levels, that had me very freaked out. Like when I first learned about it, I was like, boy, that is diabetes, and I have relatives that have it, and now you're telling me my insulin levels are high and I am resistant to insulin just because of PCOS. So what does that mean, in terms of diabetes? So like I heard people mention that they have been diagnosed as diabetic, and that is not uncommon for women with PCOS at all. So before the age of 40, they say over 50% of women may be diagnosed or will be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So that's a major thing. And another thing, so there's the diabetes thing, and another thing that is not an outward symptom, but it is important to note, is women with PCOS are at high risk for endometrial cancer. That is the lining of the uterus, the womb. So sometimes when I talk about PCOS, people who don't know what the acronym stands for, they say that's a cancer. So it's not a cancer, but it puts you at risk for a particular type of cancer. That's cancer of the womb, right? Endometrial cancer, the cancer of the lining of the womb. And of course it's understandable, because remember, women with PCOS, with those irregular periods, they're not shedding the lining of the womb as regularly as other women do, and so that accumulation and that consistent lack of a period puts the woman now at risk for endometrial cancer. And that is one of the first things when I was diagnosed that the doctor told me, no, that's why you need to find out what's going on, because this thing has risks associated with it. So you cannot just not know and say, well, so you don't get a period. No, there are definite risk factors. And I saw the most fitting thing I think I saw about PCOS is I saw a doctor. I was watching one of these programs that I watch, a doctor said PCOS is not because people think, okay, it's not a fatal disease, like it's not the fatality rate is not high with PCOS, but it's like a loaded gun. So although PCOS itself is not the bullet that will kill you, PCOS holds all the bullets, that can kill you. Right. So the risk for the cancer, the risk for diabetes, also high risk for and cardiovascular disease. So it's like you need to pay it, and that is why I'm so
shoot me now.
I'm so thinking about awareness. I'm so passionate about the awareness because people feel like, an infertility or fertility issues is a big issue with PCOS, and sometimes people think like, that's the only thing they have to worry about, that they wouldn't make children. But no, the risk factors for these other things to me are more important than that infertility possible lack of having. They're life threatening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then maybe one thing I want to say when you say that it might be the biggest thing for you, might be all the other things. But in our society in Dominica,
the fertility yes. I know, I understand
it has bypass and jump
over everything else
in some people's minds, so you can't really blame a person when they think, okay, I have PCOS as a person, they will think I cannot have a child or I have difficulties.
Yeah, I understand that for other people, for real, like that is the major thing. Like when I hear people talk, like, and that is maybe the thing they're embarrassed about as well, is the fertility issue, not having the potential, and almost like not fulfilling their womanly duty.
Expectation.
Yes,
exactly.
Their womanly duty. So, but my doctors always explain to me, PCOS doesn't mean, it means it may be more difficult for you, but it doesn't mean it's impossible for you.
Okay.
Right? So that's,
It's funny enough, I'm just learning that. The past couple of months I've been seeing the doctor and she's like, no, it's not impossible.
Right.
I always thought, well,
it was impossible.
It was impossible.
No.
I have another friend who, from the time she was very young, found out she had it, and she just knew it was impossible, and they told her she wasn't able to, and she was always adamant, I don't want children. She has a 2-month-old right now. This baby came out of nowhere. But she had been, working out and losing weight, and she had made up her mind, but she always thought she would never have children. And so when she was almost 5 months in, she realized she was
pregnant. Yeah. So the fertility thing really bothers people, but like the information I've gotten, it's not a dead end. I mean, you may have difficulties, you may have to take certain drugs, you may have to do certain procedures that maybe somebody else wouldn't have had to do, but it's not, Jesus, stand on your head. Oh God, but it's not impossible. It's really not impossible. I have a friend who has a baby, and she thought she wouldn't be able to have a baby, and she has a 6-month-old, very rambunctious little boy right now. So it's possible.
So Sabina, who is actually tuned into the program, one of my biggest fans of Winter Spotlight. Good evening to you, Sabina. I remember she posted this on Facebook, so I asked her to send it to me, right? And so there are visible symptoms, general symptoms, and internal symptoms. The visible ones, we've touched on most of them: weight gain, facial hair. What is tubular breasts?
So breasts that are not well defined and wrong, kind of long, and nipples kind of
They're a bit long.
Okay, none of us not looking like them.
But like not in the normal shape.
Okay, all right. Acne.
Oh yes, we didn't mention that.
Yes. Even at my age, I still get acne.
Oily skin.
So wrong.
Or dry skin.
Yes. Now I'm going to touch on their belly fat.
Yes. We tend, it tends that women with PCOS tend to fall under that apple shape, where all the weight is situated around your tummy.
I don't like that because, for that you're going to make a little one man. Because the tummy is a little, and I used to be, a little plump before, not as plump as I am now, and I never really had that tummy situation, I never really had that tummy situation. I was a nice, thick. I'm not saying I'm not still nice, you know. I was a nice, thick young lady with, you know, the tummy was not thick. And then, you know, here comes this thing. Anyway, moving along to some of the others quickly. Yes. So belly fat. I don't have on my glasses. Thinning hair, you said that. Dark spots on the skin, you spoke about that, Trudy, and the skin tags. So these are some of the visible symptoms that, according to the item she posted. The general symptoms: fatigue.
Yes.
Yes, that is definitely one that I know. Rage. Mood swings, insomnia, anxiety, depression, low sex drive, and you crave sugar.
Oh yes.
These are some of the general symptoms.
And sugar is the killer, and at the same time, you know, you have that carbohydrate craving.
Oh my goodness. And the final internal symptoms: ovarian cysts, insulin resistance, infertility, which we spoke about, pelvic pain, irregular periods, sleep apnea, and high cholesterol. Even what? These are some serious things, and I guess not everybody will experience all, but I think many people probably experience most of those, because I saw some of those and I'm saying, tick,
yes.
blue tick in WhatsApp. You know?
And that's why it was important for me when I got my diagnosis here, because so many things started to make sense about myself, because I didn't know why, you know, I had this or had that, and then everything I read, I'm like, that's why. Right, so it kind of really makes sense.
It makes sense. So this is PCOS. This is PCOS. Let us talk a bit about what we can do to help us deal with this little demon right there.
I know, big demon. So that's why the awareness month is so critical, because we really want people to know it's not a thing that you just have to give up on yourself and be like, oh, I have PCOS and well, that's it. So PCOS can be managed a lot with diet and exercise, lifestyle changes, like you know, increasing your physical activity, diets that don't include a lot of refined carbohydrates and the sugar. I have seen for myself, as a personal testimony, I have lost and gained weight multiple times throughout my life. I've lost as much as I've lost as much as 50 pounds and put back on 60 or 70. But like, I notice for myself, anytime I lose weight, my period just regulates itself.
It does.
And so you can see the link between, you know, fighting that battle with the weight and the regulation of the period. And of course, so not only the diet and the exercise, but of course consulting with your doctor and being on the medications that could maybe help you. Now, some people, not everybody is, you know, a fan of what they say, you know, big pharma or, you know, actual artificial medications or whatever. Some people are more into herbal cures, etc. But for me personally, dealing with my conventional medicine has worked wonders for me. The birth control pills, like you spoke about, Allison, I had been on all kind of birth control pills and they weren't working, and then eventually I got put on metformin, which is a diabetes drug, but I am not diabetic, but metformin is recommended for women with PCOS, and it worked wonders for me in terms of...
That made me so sick.
Yeah, so you see, it's individual.
It's
individual. For me, it worked.
For me, when I started taking it, the first week or so, it made me have diarrhea and so on. But as soon as my body got used to it, metformin was my best friend.
It affected my eyesight. I had to actually go to my doctor. I was seeing blurry and all of that. Yeah. So I had to go back. Dr. Ricketts had to give me some different lens so I could manage, and then within a week it came back to normal.
So drugs,
I had to stop it.
Drugs can affect people so differently. So that's why I guess it's a constant process trying to find what works for you. Because all the time I was doing the birth control pills, it was none were working. After a certain time they would just stop. And then weight loss, yes, but the metformin too helps. And for me, it has been, you know, one of the things that really helps me to stay. And I'm so excited now when I get a period that is like all on my, like it's not because of Provera or any of the other drugs. And I get that. And if you are my friend, you have to understand that for me, that is an accomplishment. I will say, guess what? I have a normal period with you. And you have to just understand, this is for me, it's an accomplishment because it means my body actually worked that month on its own. Yeah. So the and some of the things we spoke about too, the diabetes and the what else?
Hypertension.
The diabetes, hypertension, and all the other impacts of maybe weight gain. So these are things that you have to consistently monitor. As I said, like I check my blood glucose. I'm not like unaware of what it is and like what the trend is. So these are some of the things people can do, you know, kind of really keep checking on their health statistics. Yeah.
I got somebody sent me this when I was posting 3 PCOS weight loss tips.
Mike.
3 PCOS weight loss tips. They suggest that we eat a lot of proteins rather than carbohydrates. So that's always
It's
important.
like Atkins diet.
Yes, so you have a lot more protein in your diet because it helps you to stay full a little bit longer, so you don't eat as much. They suggest that you do varied workouts because a lot of us, we stick with one type of workout, but eventually we hit a plateau with that workout and then it stops working, and that's when the weight starts. Yes. So you have to do a combination of workouts. You have to do some cardio, you have to do high intensity weight training and so on.
Pilates, all of that is good.
And we have to constantly think about the insulin that we have, trying to keep our insulin levels regulated, because as long as the insulin levels are very high, it will persist with the insulin resistance, which will cause us to get diabetes and hypertension. So we just have to, like Trudy said, we have to at some point take care of ourselves as individuals. We have to know what works for us, and not everything that works for me would work for someone else.
Correct.
So it's just a matter of trial and error sometimes until you find something that really works for you. Because with PCOS, the best remedy is weight loss, but like we said, it's a double-edged sword. The weight loss is not always as easy to come by as we would like it to.
Anything you want to add to that, Allison?
That's pretty much it. What I really am looking forward to when we do our next meeting, panel discussion is we're getting more knowledge on what type of exercise, because I know that you can be doing cardio all your life and nothing moves when it comes to PCOS. So in speaking with one of my cousins who does Pilates, and I remember doing water aerobics with her once, and that worked really, really well for me. So sometimes not everything what we normally think might work will work when it comes to PCOS. Some of it will just not work, and it will depress you, because you will see you're working so hard, you're running up jacks walks every couple of days, and it's just not working for you. So that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to finding out more about when we do a panel discussion in terms of managing the weight loss. How do we do it? What do we do, especially with our kinds of food here in Dominica? What's in season, what's not in season, and also, dealing with the outward symptoms. Who is a good dermatologist to go to for this, skin tags, or, dealing with the hair growth? Who's a good waxer? Who's a, so those are the kind of things that I'm looking forward to in our meetings and our interactions in the group. The practical ways, because we can talk about what it is, what you get, what it's showing, what's not showing. The tags, the health, but what
How
I
do you
want to
deal
know
with
is
this
how do
symptoms,
I get
manage
this,
it, how do we deal with
and
it?
how am I dealing with this acne, and who in the eurozone
And the
is
plucking.
who is good for plucking, and who is good for waxing?
So
this is what I really want to know.
I pluck, but when I go to my beautician, they tell me don't pluck, wax. But the minute you feel it,
You want to pluck it off. Yeah.
That waxing doesn't always get done.
no.
That's really what I wanted to. I'm looking for.
Yes,
And the panel discussion on Monday, we have a panel discussion
Yes.
at PSU, and it will deal with some of those things that she mentioned, how to deal with some of the symptoms. So we have people like the owner of Body Bliss there to talk about the cosmetic aspects. We have a gynecologist on board, that's Dr. Annick Monell, she's a new gynecologist. And we have, Sister Nats is on board as well, who will be talking about the whole nutrition and, natural, food and health things that she normally talks about. And we also have...
She's been very helpful.
Yes, she's
very
very
helpful.
helpful.
Just diagnosed, she was still living in Antigua, and I flew to Antigua to get a detox from her.
And she told me she has a lot of patients, yeah?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she said it's a major issue. She has a lot of patients telling her they have PCOS.
Yeah.
And, she is referring them now to the support group. So now she knows about it. She's very pleased that we have that going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trudy, we will talk about some of the activities that you've done so far and some coming up in a while. But I wanted to read something here. Somebody says, good night, ladies. Note about the HbA1c. If one has the sickle cell anemia or trait, the results are not valid. It is best to do a,
Fructosamine level test.
Okay, fructosamine level test. All right, and she said she's enjoying the show. A regular of the show says, I now understand my diagnosis. So yes,
that's so nice.
No, because I think we all had similar experiences where we were just told this is what you have. As I told you, I got a paper with some information. I won't lie, but unless you try to do the research yourself, you're just going to be lost.
Right.
You may just end up like me and just family. You just not bother about it, and you just let it be and let it do its own thing. But I think so many of the symptoms I experience, the fatigue. I mean, I know I run around a lot. I do a lot, so I know sometimes I really do just get tired. But I feel tired almost every day.
Exactly.
That should not be the case. Now I know that it has to do sometimes with the sleep apnea and all of that. But Tutsa, it all makes sense. That's the thing. It all makes sense.
You can't just let it go, because more and more things will come up, and you need to be able to make the connection and say, well, this may, and then when you make the connection, be able to treat it or do something about it, whether it's getting medication or getting raspberry bush.
Right.
Yes.
So you have to be juggling all those things and kind of keeping them all up in the air. So it's the more information you have, really, and the more understanding you have of what you're going through, the better it is for you.
Okay. It is 9:38, the time in our studios. We can I've not opened up the lines for a while on the program, but tonight I think it would be a good time to open up the lines. If there's anybody out there who would like to ask a question or make a contribution to the program, we would definitely welcome that from you. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. The overseas line is 305-432-9624. Again, 305-432-9624 if you would like to contribute to our discussion here tonight on PCOS. While we await your calls, so Trudy, what have you been doing so far for the observance of PCOS Awareness Month?
Okay, so we started off we had a planning committee meeting and we had a lot of great ideas. Everybody has a busy schedule, so not all our ideas came through. However, we have been doing radio campaigns, so this show with you is one of our major awareness activities. We've also been on 2 other radio stations, and we also plan to have on Friday a meet and greet for our group members. So this is a private event. We'll be having it at Alliance Française, really to give support to the ladies in the support group. Let us meet one-on-one and have a conversation, have some wine. And then on Monday, we have an event which is open to the general public at PSU from 6 p.m. It's a panel discussion. So that one is for everybody.
Okay, let's see if we can take this call. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Ferdina. Good evening to the ladies in the house.
Good evening.
I I'm listening and it's a very frank discussion, but by doing a little reading, I'm also finding out now that this may apply to men. This is not only affecting the female, it can also affect the male. So I would like to hear a little bit about that. So I don't, have you covered that? Did I miss it?
We hadn't spoken about that. In men, they say it's called metabolic syndrome. Some of the same issues with heightened insulin and insulin resistance may be present in men. It's just that with the women, the whole reproductive and fertility issues is kind of, what takes over the discussion and makes it such a big thing for women. And that's why I guess the focus is primarily on women. But in men, they say it's called metabolic syndrome and not polycystic ovarian syndrome. Of course, because men don't have ovaries. Yes. So metabolic syndrome, yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you for contributing. Okay. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. The overseas line is 305-432-9624. Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, Ferdina.
Hello, good evening to you.
And good evening to Allison.
Good evening.
Ferdina, this is Ferdina.
Oh! Oh my, you sound different on the phone.
I know.
Go ahead, my dear. You have never.
But I just felt that because of my personal experience with PCOS, that I just wanted to share some of what I've been through with it, and just to let other people know that sometimes you just experience just a little of it, and then you may be like me, who has gone through like the whole line of it. A few people may know that I have had my womb removed and one of my ovaries removed, because I too had the treatment of the birth control, got off of that. In my first marriage, I also tried fertility drugs to get pregnant, and then lost my baby. Then after that, the symptoms get worse. It was tried to manage with drugs. The drugs had the opposite effect, and I looked like I was 10 months pregnant, but the cysts were growing so rapidly now on my womb. I developed the whole blood clotting issues and so on. And then the final result was just having my womb removed, and because my ovaries had now like basically molded into one with my womb, one of my ovaries had to be removed. And it's just been a struggle and a journey. And seeing that the work that these ladies are doing now, I wish when I was going through those things in my younger years that we had that sort of group to help and to get certain information. And I will do my best to support them and, put the stories out there so that other people know, because a lot of times we go through things and it's made even worse when we don't have anyone we can talk to or nowhere we can turn to. And it's so important to have awareness. And thanks again, Ferdina, for your show. And every week I tell you have a good show and so on. But this one in particular really touched me this week. That's why I decided to call in.
Yes, because that's not something that you normally do. But I want to ask you though, Sabina, how were you able to manage through all of this? You actually shared quite a bit of personal information there with us, and I mean it's not very easy normally for people to do that. You lost a baby, your womb, you had your womb removed. I mean, how did this affect you mentally, physically, and how were you able to overcome those experiences that you had as a result of PCOS?
Well, as many people know, I grew up in a religious home, and you have certain rules and guidelines you have to follow, which, like I mentioned in my first marriage, that's why I felt I needed to have a child, and I put my body through all of this. And I just kept going on through life, just thinking, this is what I need to do. And then I think when my first brother died, it just hit me that, you know, you do all of these things in life and you expect to be at a certain place or you expect to behave a certain way. And my brother, I'm not saying that because he was my brother, but my brother was a very good person and boom, he just died. So you can be a good person, you can be a bad person, you can be whatever you are. And death is no respecter of person. And I just decided, you know, that I want my story to help others. I speak openly about what I have been through, the deaths of my brothers and my mom. Because one person looked at me and told me, they see me as such a strong person and they hope that my life story can inspire others. And I just decided, you know what? Even if nobody takes anything else from me, I just want one person, at least one person to look at me and say that she's been through that and she survived, so I can do it too.
All right, Sabina, thank you so much for sharing with us. Big fan of the program, first time ever calling, but thank you so much, my darling. Thank you. All right.
Good night, lady.
Yes. How did it feel to listen to her share this?
It was emotional for me because when she said, you know, she wishes that this type of information and this type of group existed long ago, like when she was going through all her mishaps, etc. It really touched me because that is exactly why we're doing what we're doing, so that people don't feel alone and people don't feel like there's nothing out there to help them and there is nobody else going through what they're going through. So it really brings full circle like what we're trying to do with the support group and with all our awareness campaign and all of that.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
Well,
Her womb,
listening to her being so open and willing to share with us and the listening public that deeply personal bit of information, it touched me. It made me realize that so many of us are going through this at different stages, and different people go through different symptoms and have different outcomes, and we just hope that others, like she said, others will benefit from this group now that it's here, and hopefully that will give them some sort of comfort and ease to go through what they are going through.
Well, for me, I don't want to say I've been different, but I've known Sabina in a very long time. We've been friends from first form, thereabouts, and so I kind of had a front seat for some of what she had gone through.
Oh, wow.
When she had to have her womb removed, when she was in the hospital for months on end with blood clots. I remember sneaking in chicken for her in the middle of the night.
Oh, no, you didn't, Allison.
Do it again. And when she had to travel to St. Lucia by boat because of the blood clots, she could not travel by plane. And so she has a huge scar that looks like a
I've seen it.
running down,
She's shown it to
down
me.
the front of her,
Yes.
her abdomen. So I've seen, we were around when her brothers died, when her mother passed away, all that. So it's nothing shocking, but you know, I'm so happy that she's able to share it. I'm so happy she survived all of that. I'm happy she's able to survive in such a way that she's able to share. You know, because some of us survive and we just we keep everything in. We're too ashamed to share it, or it's too heavy for us to upload, and we still carry our load with us. But she's one that's very open in being able to openly share what she's going through, and with hopes that it will help somebody. And I do believe it helps somebody. Being able to speak so boldly and openly about it, which is who she is, which I really appreciate, is going to help somebody who is sitting in silence, somebody somewhere saying, I have to put my body through this because I have to make a child, because this is what is expected of me. And you know, I'm just praying that somebody out there is hearing this, heard her say this, that this is what I had to do. I felt like I had to do, and it nearly killed me. You know, and there are times when you have to make a decision about your own body that goes beyond what everybody else expects of you, and you have to look out for yourself. Because I mean, so many times we saw something near death, you know, because of all these different things, and to what good. And at the end of the day, when she saw her brothers die one behind the other, it had to have been jarring and eye-opening for her and for the rest of us who are close to her, to see that, you know, life really is short. And you have to live every day to the fullest. You know, I you know, as crazy as she is sometimes, I really admire that about her, that she lets us see that we have to.
She is, oh my God.
I told her today I can only take her in shots. Those things today for her, tomorrow for somebody else. But you know, it's one of the things that we admire about her, because she reminds us every day that you gotta live every day to the fullest and say what you have to say now, do what you have to do now, because tomorrow is not promised. And so, you know, I really appreciate that she called in.
I do too. I really do appreciate that she called in and she shared. You were talking about some of the activities.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So I think I
Trudy.
I kind of finished it off.
Oh,
Yeah, so the
okay.
panel discussion is the culmination of the month, I guess I would call it. It's on September 30th, that's next week Monday,
Okay.
at 6 p.m. at PSU. And I was just mentioning some of the panelists we have on board, like Sister Nats, Dr. Anik Monel. We also have the cosmetologist Anna from Body Bliss Spa, and Dr. Patricia Roll, who is a general practitioner, who will also be filling us in on the diabetes and that type of aspect. So we have a comprehensive panel. The last time we had a panel, we had a psychologist, a nutritionist, a general practitioner, and a member of our group give a testimonial. So this time we're dealing with some different aspects. So we're moving away from the psychology, the depression, and so we spoke about the last time. Now we're on the cosmetic aspect. So every time we do something, we'll try to tackle, you know, some of the aspects of PCOS, and there's so many different things. I mean, we might have to have multiple events before we cover
each of the symptoms on its own.
Could take a
panel discussion. So
Exactly.
somebody's asking how can they join the Facebook group.
So the name of the group is Nature Isle Ladies PCOS Support Group. So if you search it and you click join, I will eventually, you know, see it and add you to the group.
Okay, it's as simple as that.
Simple as that. So Nature Isle Ladies PCOS Support Group.
And you do have a private event, you said.
Yeah, so we are doing a lot of our support via that Facebook group, you know. So we felt it was important to meet in person, because support groups really are supposed to be an avenue for people to actually meet and have, you know, open discourse. And so we're having an event on Friday, that's the 27th, at Alliance Française at 7 p.m. We're calling it Happy Hour with the sisters. Sisters like cystic, polycystic ovarian syndrome.
So not S-I-S.
Not S-I-S-T-E-R-S.
Felicia, you are not a sister.
Yeah, but that
Okay,
that has
so
been
you're
there.
not.
That's so funny.
She's this one. Here's wine.
Oh God.
I can come and support.
No,
I cannot come and
no,
support because
you're not invited.
CYSTERS. And we're having it as a private event. Why? Because we noticed that the panel discussion that we had in May, some people, I mean, the panel discussion is open to the general public. You don't have to be suffering from PCOS for you to come to a panel discussion. But I noticed there was some discomfort and some people were kind of scared of people seeing them at the panel discussion on camera, because we had live coverage.
Oh,
yes, we had live coverage on M1 News, and so some people were like, "Don't put me on camera! Don't put me on camera!" They were afraid, and that is another thing today: stigma associated with the syndrome. And for me, I think like maybe the more I talk about it, maybe the more impact I can have in reducing that stigma, because I was so astonished by people not wanting to be on camera, and then I realized that it's because they think people will judge them and say, "Oh, look at Mamzelle, she cannot have children," or this, or and I mean, people are not in control of their health issues. PCOS is not something that you ask for or that you bring upon yourself. As a matter of fact, the cause is largely unknown. They suspect it has a genetic link, so that it may run in families. They say if a mother or sister has it, that you know you can possibly have it, but largely unknown cause. And so for people to feel ashamed, you know, that they have it, I feel like that's something, the more we bring awareness to the syndrome, is the more we can maybe eliminate that that stigma and that shame that is associated with it.
Especially in our society in Dominica, where people can be very judgmental. I mean, all of us here must have had that experience at some point or the other.
Of course.
Hey, in fact,
Yep.
it. Long videos. I don't know, see you again. Big head.
You put on more weight tag.
The weight?
Oh my goodness! It's like we blew the system.
Oh my God!
Yeah, but that is typical Dominican.
Yes,
Typical.
that is so very true.
Weight and when you're gonna make a baby, you
that's the other
haven't
one.
churned yet. You know.
Well, sometimes I have some very interesting responses for them.
Well, people don't do that to me anymore.
They do that to me.
No, people do that to
As
me.
I told you, I've put on some weight since, for some time. And since after Hurricane Maria, I put on some weight. And I know that I have put on some weight. I know that. I don't need you to tell me that.
Exactly.
Okay? So people meet me, hey, Ferdina, and I remember one lady met me outside of courts. And she said it to me openly there in front of everybody. Well, I had a response for her. Don't do that. Seriously, don't do that.
That's one of the things I wanted to, because I'll tell you quite frankly, just about 2 hours before we came, I messaged Trudy and I was like, Trudy, you know what, I'm really nervous about coming on radio. And I'm really passionate about wanting people to know about it. But at the same time, I'm telling her straight up, I don't want people to know my business,
Yes.
I said it to her, I sent her a message, I really don't want people to know my business.
Oh.
Just it can be very, I'll be completely honest here on camera and on radio. It can be very embarrassing.
Yes.
It can be very. I was telling them this whole awareness week was just making me more and more depressed because it's like every day she'd post something and I'm like, oh my God, my symptoms are right there in my face.
Yes.
And I'm experiencing all this stuff at the same time and feeling the hopelessness of where do I go, where do I start? Every now and then I get there with that. And then I shake myself up. I try not to get into the depression. I have good friends who will recognize it coming. I have a neighbor who sees it coming. When she sees me, start to pull in and lock up my curtains and inside. She says,
she knows what's going on.
And come and sit on my bed. So, I just start up conversation. I don't want to hear her, but she does it, and she really helps me there. So, I gotta say on live, I really do appreciate it because the depression and the anxiety can draw you in slowly like quicksand.
But guess what though? Starting with me, I appreciate you being here this evening. I appreciate each and every one of you being here, agreeing to come and put yourself up for this level of public scrutiny. But guess what? The number of ladies who are listening tonight that you have impacted, I think it is worth it. It balances it off, I think. And as you said, a couple of people have messaged and said they understand now. So see what you're doing as something to help not only yourself, but to help others who are not as brave as you are to come and share. But they can in fact learn from you and understand what is going on with them, with their bodies, and start to do something about it. To join the support group, because the support group is important. I can get a sense that there's quite a nice little vibe going on between the three of you here, and I'm sure other ladies within the group. So that is important. You've never met Amanda in person?
No. Tonight is the first time.
Oh, I would have never said that. You see?
No, but I think in the group we share a lot of we share a lot. Every day or every week or so, you see people pop in and give different suggestions. I remember one day I was in so much pain in casualty because of one of the problems with PCOS, pelvic pain and I think I must have had a ruptured cyst or something like that. I was in so much pain. And I remember sitting there one day, had finally seen me and gave me my little pain meds and messaging in the group saying, hey guys, I'm here. I'm fine, man.
Oh my God. That is important.
So the group is really good for support and, feeling comfortable to be able to share like that because all of it is so personal. And it's no judgment because all of us are going through it.
I'm telling you.
And so I really appreciate the group. I appreciate Trudy for sticking with it and forming the group. And
originating this. I'm telling you, I did not realize exactly what was going to happen tonight until it was about after 6 and Trudy just confirmed with me that everything was still on. And then I responded to her and said, yes, I'm just going to do whatever in just a while, just to remind, a few folks. And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, but wait, I hope they realize what they're going to do tonight on the program is going to be a lot of personal stuff. So you are brave, you get a gold star, you get a gold star, you get a gold star. I wish I could do that. So you get a car. But anyway, ladies, this is really, really awesome. I'm gonna start to wrap up the conversation. You can share, for example, what even being here has done for you, what the month or week of activities has done for you, what you think you've done this evening to impact somebody else, just along those lines, what you think is the message that you want to get out there, not only to PCOS syndrome sufferers, but to the average person who sees us and don't understand why this is so and why that is so. I start off with you, Allison.
Exactly. This is where I want to talk about it. I really want people in Dominica or Dominican people, or not in Dominica, but our Dominican people with our kind of mindset and being judgmental and thinking it's okay to say certain things and treat people certain ways because you see them on the outside looking a certain way and don't understand all of the things that they're going through. And I am imploring people to be more cautious, to be more sensitive to people. Just be careful what you say when you ask people questions. Just how you approach people. That's one of the things that I'm very, very concerned about, especially with dealing with the store, our store. And seeing people come in and women being uncomfortable and wanting to throw anything on themselves because they feel they're big and they cannot wear that. They cannot, wear what everybody else is wearing. And I get to interact with people and see the kind of effect is happening on people, and it's very, very sad and disheartening, especially when I see young people, I remember over prom season there was a few young ladies who came looking for dresses and shoes to go to prom or post-graduation dinners and so on. And one girl was trying to squeeze herself into something, and I said, don't make those girls. Everybody might want to be wearing this, but they should not be determining what you are going to wear and squeeze yourself into some little thing because you will be the odd man out and you don't want to look like that. And I really tried to help her get something as close as possible to help her to make her feel like she looks like her friends and them, but not put herself in an embarrassing position. And so that's one of the things that I really want to be impacted or maybe in here tonight, that people learn to be comfortable within themselves. You might be bigger, you might have the tummy, and
more to love.
Of course. I'm not promoting obesity or trying to stay that way, but it took me a long time to learn to love myself. It took me a long time. It took me maybe all of my 20s, and I'm not there yet. I am not as confident as Trudy. I'm a little moody, but not as confident as Trudy. But I'm getting there, right? And it's an adjustment for me because as I'm getting older, I'm putting on more weight, and of course a little depression and not being able to do what I used to do 5 years ago. But I want people here, as afraid as I was to come on, to maybe take something from me being here, and learn that you gotta love yourself as you are in the moment, right here, right now, and take the risk. I remember when she messaged me on Saturday, I said, well, I don't want to do it. I really am trying to message her and say no. But I'm like,
But I never would have guessed that.
Because I felt it was so personal.
Yes.
That's my biggest thing. In a sense, I'm gonna say it. In a sense, it's very embarrassing.
Okay.
There are days I have to spend a whole hour plucking and fine tuning. Yes. I have my sets up, I have my mirrors.
I have my large mirror and my tweezers.
My lights and my 3 tweezers.
You have 3?
3.
Okay.
3.
I have one in my little makeup bag that I wear in my bag to work.
No, my 3.
Because sometimes they listen, no. We chuckle a bit, but when you have this 1 or 2 that's bothering you, it becomes so.
You can't sleep.
You can't stop. Yes. Yes. Listen, I remember one time I couldn't find my tweezer. And it's like it was an addiction. I needed to find it, and I was moving things around trying to find my tweezer because it was bothering me that much.
I found myself getting up out of bed, putting on the light, and go to the mirror.
Yes.
Just to get that one and go back to bed.
Yeah.
You know, so those are the things that we have to do.
No, we're not cuckoo.
I might I really thought it was just too embarrassing. As much as I talk about it online, I thought it was too embarrassing to talk about it myself. You know, and putting it out there. A lot of this that I'm going through, my parents don't even know about. My family doesn't know about. I mean, my sister's a doctor, so she knows what PC was, but she doesn't know, because you know, I don't tell them all the things that I go through. So a lot of people don't know what I'm doing, and you just feel like you're putting on weight or this or that, and but it's, I guess all of this is a little bit selfish for me. It's pushing myself out there to just embolden myself a little bit.
And I appreciate it so much, Allison. And as you were speaking, you know, very, very good friend, I won't call her name, but she says, well, Ferdina, I must say that I was one of your main critics about your weight. I ask you to forgive me because I couldn't ever imagine what you were going through. From now on, I will have a lot of empathy towards you. I love you dearly. So this is a message that somebody just sent to me there.
That's wonderful.
And I love you too. You know I love you too. So absolutely no question about that. Amanda?
I think one thing I would like persons to take away from this, the Dominican public, is don't judge a book by its cover. Don't think that because you've heard about it that you know what we go through. We go through things every day. We keep a lot of it in ourselves, and we have to develop ourselves as strong warriors to be able to go through what we go through every day. It's not very easy coming out to the public and letting them know some of your deepest, darkest secrets, because there's a part of you that wants to keep it to yourself and just let them go on thinking whatever they think it is that you're doing for you to be this way or act this way. But I'm thankful that I'm able to be part of this group and be able to share with people, and hope that my story, our stories, our speeches today, our talks today inspire at least one person to become a little more confident in themselves, to love themselves unconditionally, because we cannot love anybody else unless we love ourselves first. And sometimes we go out there looking for it in other people, and we can't find it there because we have to find it in ourselves. So I was just reading the ribbons that we have on, and it says, I will stay strong, I will win. And I think that that's a motto that any one of us can take to live day by day. Stay strong, we will win. It does not have a cure, but we can manage it and be happy within ourselves. So that's what I want everybody to take away from tonight.
You're making me so emotional. I know I am emotional like that, but it's all the same. You know, Trudy, you think, oh my goodness.
As she mentioned the ribbons, let me just big up and mention Leandra Landa, lovely things, for hooking us up with these ribbons.
They're pretty. Is the color green or?
The color is teal.
Teal.
Yeah, she didn't get the exact shade, but she
teal-ish.
Yes, and she tried to help us to commemorate the Awareness Month. Yes, so all the ladies have said pretty much, you know, everything I maybe could say. I just want to wrap up, I guess, by saying that, you know, PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, is something that we and maybe a lot of other people have, but it doesn't stop us in any way from being able to contribute to society, have an impact. You know, what we do and what we say is relevant as well. So regardless, as they said, of, you know, the package in which it comes, all of us are pretty important and in some way important and loved by many different people. I also want to let people know that having a PCOS diagnosis is not, and I've said it before, it's not the end. There are things that can be done to help with the symptoms, and I want to tell people, a lot of people now approach me and ask me questions like I'm a medical doctor. I'm not. So to continue to consult with your doctor, and if one doctor is not giving you the correct, not the correct, but you're not satisfied with the approach, try another one, because right now we have multiple options. You don't need to stick with somebody that you're not feeling satisfied with. So try somebody else, and eventually you might get your match, in terms of medical care. And just to the ladies, especially the young ladies. Now that is really my motivation. The young, the adolescents that are now being diagnosed with PCOS. As I said, a lot of my students were coming up to me, and that is what prompted me to start the support group. I just want to tell them, particularly, as I said, the young ones, that it's a journey. It's not the end of your life. The diagnosis is not the end of your life. Dealing with fertility issues is not the end of your life. I mean, there is a lot that you can accomplish even with PCOS. And lastly, to the people, of course, as you all mentioned as well, judgmental in terms of maybe weight, or judgmental in terms of you having children, or well, you being able to have children, or you not having children by a particular age. I mean, my struggle is not your struggle, and that's why I think I am dealing with it well, because I know the struggle that I have, and I know how strong I have been, and I know many people haven't had to deal with those things. So who are they to question, my struggle? And so that is the type of mindset, I think, that pushes me forward, that I know I've been fighting hard. I know I've been trying in some real strange circumstances to remain positive and to, continue my life and achieve this and achieve that. And people cannot put down that fight. And the ribbon does say, I will fight and I will win. And I really want to embody that whole message. We will fight and we will win. All right, so that's what I have to say.
What a program this has been. Some beautiful, brave ladies sharing intimate, personal information with us, but with a purpose of educating and sharing information as it pertains to PCOS, and reaching out, helping the others out there who may be dealing with it, probably were not quite sure exactly what it is, having the symptoms, probably going to the doctor and just being told you have PCOS and you don't know where else to go from there. And Trudy, kudos to you for putting this group together. I'm going to try to be a little bit more active and at least come to one of the, Monday might be a bit of a challenge because I have to be here at 8.
Oh, yes.
I'll probably really have to stretch it to come and then come here, but we'll see what happens. I've done it before. There was a class. There's a happy hour on Friday, right? That I can try to make the effort to come to as well. So ladies, I really want to applaud you, and this is just me clapping for you, and I want you to clap for yourselves too. I think you were fabulous tonight. Thank you, Sabina. The cheerleader in the corner. And we really want to thank Sabina as well for calling in and sharing with us, because this is all really private, personal stuff, and you all exposed yourself to sharing, but as I said before, with a purpose, with a goal, with an objective of helping others. Thank you, ladies, each and every one of you. As I said tonight, a gold star for you, a gold star for you, a gold star for you. Don't forget, next week, Monday, God willing, once he's back on island, Michael Lees of Uncivilized, now playing at Emerald Movies, of course, even them that plugging right there. He's the director, and he is the person who is in the film experiencing Dominica life in the forest, and it so happens that while he was there, Hurricane Maria came. He was told it was a category 3, decided he was going to stick around to experience it. Turned out it was a category 5, and I tell you, it is something else. So he tells that story and life after Hurricane Maria as well. I have so many questions for this young man. I look forward to having him next week Monday on the In the Spotlight radio show. Thank you, Khadisha. Thank you, ladies. Amanda, Dejean, Allison, Fevrier, and Trudy Christian. And to all the other members of our Facebook group, we thank you so much for tuning into the program, and all those of you who listened and tuned in via the radio, via online, via the Facebook live, we thank you as well. Until next week, we will be back here for another program. God willing.